Hi everybody, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about effects. So if we go to add component, we go down to effects and we click halo. Go to the game view. You might not see anything. So what we could do is double click on effects and we get this halo effect right here. So if I wanted to, I could drop it into the scene. Didn't mean to do that. But as we can see, there's a little halo. Here's the game view. So now if I go back to effects, I could change the size of the halo and I could change the color. And then also the opacity, of course. But the opacity, you don't do much if you change it. And that's pretty much what the halo does. As you can see, the smaller it gets, the less, and then the less opacity, the more it affects it. If not, it don't really affect anything. But yeah, that's that for the halo. Now let's move on to the next one, which would be the lens flare. Now the lens flare, let me show you real quick what it is. You could actually have a lens flare on your directional light. There's a setting for that already. So wherever your directional light is, it will have this flare right here. So you could set the flare. These flares, I got it from the standard assets. If you download it from the standard assets in the Unity store, you could get these flares. Now I also downloaded the easy character movement, so I could show you this real quick. That's right here, and it's created by Oscar Grayson, and it is $35. So if you wanna check that out, it just allows you to move easily with the character. All I had to do for this character was drop in a prefab, which was this prefab right here. As you can see, it's blue, meaning it's a prefab. Just dropped it in the scene, and I hit play, and I was able to use it without changing any settings. But of course, you would probably want to change the settings depending on your game. Now I can move around and everything just like a normal game. Could jump, everything. But what we're trying to check out is a lens flare. So if we check the directional light, or the sun in this case, you can see that little bright flare. Now let me pause it real quick and let me take the flare off just so you could see what the flare is doing. Now if I hit pause, as you can see, it's just a regular sunlight. If I add a flare, you can see the different flares, as you can see. Now let's say you wanted a flare, I don't know, in the middle of nowhere or next to your moon. If you want to have a moon, or I mean, you could have a moon right here. You could change this to a bluish color and kind of darken it, and that would kind of be your moon, as you can see. And you could have a flare there anyways. But if you wanted to have a flare somewhere else, maybe let's say on the rim of a tire, let me start over. If you wanted to have a flare on the actual rim of the tire, you could have that flare on the rim. All you would have to do is have an empty game object, add this lens flare component, and of course add whatever flare you want. Now in order for this to work, now you've seen it worked automatically, but I was playing around with it earlier. Now in order for this to work, your actual camera has to have a flare layer. If it does not have a flare layer, it will not work. So if, let's say I take this off, it doesn't work, or let's say if I remove it, it won't work as well. Yeah, that's that for the flare layer. And then once you have that flare layer and you have the effects and everything, you could actually move it around wherever you want it to be. So you could adjust it however you want it to be in the scene. So as you can see, now we can't see it in the scene, but if we look up, we should be able to see it. So I look up and I'm able to see it. I see two flares now. Looks like I have two suns. Now that's pretty much that for the flare. Let me remove. Oh, and then it has, of course, I'm always getting ahead of myself because I'm trying to cover as much as I can in a short period of time. So there's the color. We could adjust the color of the flare, whatever color we want it to be. We could adjust the brightness so it's not so bright. The fade speed, so when we're moving around, the speed of the fade. We could also have it ignore some layers. We could have it to be directional or not directional. Now I tried playing around with this and I don't know what it meant by it, because even though it's a 3D scene, I'm still not able to see it when I click directional. When I have it unchecked, then I am able to see it right here in the documentation. All it says is it indicates whether the flare is along the positive z-axis of the game object. if it appears as if it was infinitely far away and did not track the game object's position, only the direction of the z-axis. So what I'm guessing is that as long as, if you have it checked, that if the game object is along the positive z-axis, it will show. If not, it will not. That's what I'm guessing, but I could be wrong. If anybody knows, leave it in the comments below. It'll help anybody watching this video. Now, if I go to effects and I go line renderer, I covered it in a previous video. So if you want to check that out, I also cover particle system. There's 2 parts to that particle system. There's 2 parts to the video, so if you guys want to check that out. Now, post-processing behavior doesn't really come by default. The only reason it came by, the only reason we can see it here is because I downloaded something for the visual effect, and I'll mention that right now in a little bit. So just to prove that it's usually not there, I have another project, and if I go to effects, as you can see, there's no post-processing behavior. So we're gonna skip that one, and we're gonna go to projector. Projector, let me go to it. Now projector, we could have some sort of material projecting something onto the plane. So for example, okay, so this asset is from Paintcraft. Let me show you real quick. So it's Paintcraft, this one right here. So if you guys want to check that out, it's pretty much just an asset that allows you to actually draw like a coloring book. So make an app like a coloring book where you could choose your colors and paint your image that you actually drew. They could paint that, and you can have, you know, different levels, different, you know, coloring books, drawing objects, all that kind of stuff. But back to this, as you can see, we got this image here projecting. Now we could adjust this accordingly. So if we, as you can see, we can see the whole image. When we get closer, we can't. It's just projecting the image onto the plane. Now we could also adjust the field of view, so that way we don't have to adjust this at all. So we could have it 100, and if we have the field of view at a smaller number, we won't be able to see it when we are close. But if we have it, let's say, at a further number, we will be able to see it. And of course, we could adjust the far plane of view in case the image gets cut off. We could also adjust the aspect ratio, set it to orthographic view. So now, as you can see, we could also adjust the size, and it's just a square instead of being like perspective where you could see 3 dimensions. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the projector. There was a video that Thomas Brush made about he made a game, Animal Crossing with guns, and he showed the projector and how he used you know, blood images to appear after, you know, he killed one of the little Animal Crossing character. So you could do the same thing with yours. You could have like a blood image on your projector. You could just adjust the far clip planes, field of view, just however you need. You could also set this, let me show you real quick. So as you can see, this projector, so the reason we couldn't see these lines or whatever is because I had gizmos turned off. I usually turn it off. I didn't remember. But now what we could do is actually rotate it 90 degrees so it is pointing towards the plane. And then now we have that, we could actually, alright, now that we got that, we could adjust the field of view. As you can see what the field of view does. So we could have a little small amount of field of view, we could have a larger amount, and then we could adjust this far clip plane, and as you can see, it adjusts it. Particle's not working, but yeah, anyways, you could adjust this. So as you can see, it adjusts depending on the field of view. So if you have a smaller field of view, as you can see, that's all you could see. You could only see a little piece of the image. If you increase the field of view, you could see the whole image. But you could, yeah, I was trying to show you with the blood particles. For some reason, they're not grasping them. But you could also make your own, let's say, material. And you'll see, yeah, that's how that works. So you could just, you know, adjust the far field clip planes. As you can see, it's those planes right there. And then the field of view, as you can see it when you zoom out. You can't see the whole image because the projector's not there, but you can see how that's supposed to work. If you go in the game, you could actually see it in parts of the. So if I adjust it this way, yeah, you can see it more. But yeah, that's just how the projector works. You could add blood particles projecting every time they pop out, so they could just pop out randomly like that. You could have it on, let's say, one of your game objects, and every time you shoot him and he dies, blood particle just pop out real quick. Like I said, you just gotta make a material. The other materials weren't working. I have so much stuff downloaded right now because this is just little test area where I could just test everything I want to. So I have a bunch of stuff tested out. But yeah, you could just make your material. Go to create material, whatever you want. Like let's say we want a red material. If it changes to red, have a red material. Then go to effects. We could just add that effect. Yeah, just depending on the material, what it is, I guess. Maybe it has to be. See, it probably has to be projector. Then under projector, you would have to add your texture. So let's say we want this cow texture from that paint. And then we could add the fall off. And then we would go to the projector. Yeah, see, you still can't. Yeah, you would have to have the fall off texture too. And yeah, I don't have a fall off texture for it. But yeah, that's the projector. Now moving on to so trail renderer, I also have in another video. I'll post that up above as well. And visual effects. Now when you click visual effects, depending on if you have this visual effect package downloaded or not, it will appear like this. If you do not have it downloaded, you might have just some writing that says install Unity com.unity package.visual effect or something like that. That would be under Window Package Manager. Click on Package Manager and then go to Unity Registry, I think. Yeah, when you go to Unity Registry, click on Visual Effect Graph and install it. Now, just to let you know, it says the Visual Effect Graph is production ready for the high definition render pipeline, which would be this one right here, high definition render pipeline. But it says that, but they are working to full support for the universal render pipeline and compatibility for mobile devices is still in development. So this is the universal render pipeline. So what that means is that they're still trying to work on this visual effect graph to work on both for mobile and for that pipeline. Now I don't have either of those pipelines downloaded, and it still works fine on mine. But then again, I haven't built this project anywhere, so it might not work on the project itself. So if you download it or if you built it for a computer game or a PlayStation game or something like that, I don't know if it will work or have some problems. So I would not recommend it. I would recommend downloading the HDRP package if you're gonna use this. But let's just start with this. So all this has is the asset template. I'll show you how to make this template right now. It has reseed on play. So if you wanted a reseed when it plays, reseed just means if you want like all the particles to respawn into the pool again. Initial event name. So if you want to override this, you click this and you change what event name you want it to play on the initial event. And then transparency priority. If you want to adjust the priority of transparency, you can for the renderer. And then if you're using light probes, you could use blend probes, use proxy volume or custom. You could provide a custom light probe. And then properties. Properties, when you add your asset template, you could actually add properties. I'll show you how to do that as well. So to add a asset or a visual effect template, go to create. Go to visual effects. Now we have all these different visual effects. I'll show you guys all these in a later video, but for now we're just gonna focus on visual effect graph. We click on visual effect graph and let's go back to effects and we'll drag this onto the visual effect as asset, and right away we'll see something going on. As you can see these little particles happening. Now to edit, all you gotta do is double click on the little graph that you created over here. I'll show you once this is done. It's taking a minute. Okay, so this is the graph. Now you just gotta double click on new VFX right here, or whatever you named it. So you can name it whatever you want. Let's say, I don't know, particles. But yeah, you can name it whatever you want, and it will update automatically up here as well. Now you just double click on that, whatever you named it. Now this graph, you could put it anywhere you want. You could put it here, anywhere you want. I usually leave it right here, and I'll open this window up a bit. And these right here are the properties. So if I go to effects, these are the properties they're talking about. I'll show you how to adjust that right now. So one thing I'm gonna adjust is, well, first of all, to move around here, you gotta click the middle mouse button to move around, and then you could zoom in with the middle mouse scroll wheel, and then click the scroll wheel to, you know, move around. And then we're gonna set these particles to be different. So right here where it says default particles, I'm gonna use the actual default particles from the particle system. So as you can see, we got these particle system particles emitting, and you could put any texture you want, or you make any material you want as well. And then after that, we could, you know, change the color. So let's say we want a red color, and then we want it to turn, let's say, blue, or yeah, blue is fine. Then we could also change the intensity of each color. So same with this one, we can change the intensity of the colors. And then we could change, you know, the size. We could change anything we want. So we could have them real small. We could have them, could also add. We could do a bunch of stuff. So I'm just showing you real quick what you guys could do with this. If you guys want to see a video, well, I'm going to make future videos about this, but if you want to see one quicker than I'm planning to make it, just let me know, and I'll be glad to help you guys. But yeah, you could just make your particles, and then after that, to actually have the properties, you'll click this plus sign right here, and you could add any property you want. So let's say I want the color, so I could have a gradient. This gradient, I can name it anything I want. So I could put color of particles, and then I'll just drag this down, and I'll connect this to this color right here, because that's the one I want to change. And as you can see, it turns back to gray. So if I go back to the inspector and I go to effects, you can see color of particles, and I could override it, as you can see. Now one thing I do want to show you is that I could change it right here as well. So let's say I want the red, and then change this to what is it, the blue. Add the intensity, same with this one. So now right here, let me drag this down, exposed. So if you want to be able to see this in the inspector, so now if I go to effects, you can see there's none in the inspector, no properties exposed. But if I click this, now we can see it in the inspector. Now a tool tip is if you hover over, so let me show you real quick, change color of particles, and then you could put whatever gradient. And then when we go back, if we hover over it, you can see it says change color of particles gradient. So as you can see, the tooltip, you could use it to whatever advantage you want. You could put whatever you want right there, and you could also just, you know, add whatever you want. Animation curve, you could have an animation curve. Set the animation curve down here. You could connect this one, and as you can see, now there's an animation curve down here. Now I could adjust this, and this was, you know, the size of the particles. So you could just, you know, go crazy with these properties, and it makes it extremely easy to adjust it from here, then from here. And then yeah, you could also build off of this. You could unupdate particle. This is just like the update function. If you guys know how to code, this is like the update function where this happens every single second. So if we want to add a force, let's say a turbulence force, now this is going to happen every second. It's going to add this force. We could increase the intensity. So now you can see it reacting. We could add some drag to it. And now you can see this particle's just, you know, reacting to it. Almost looks like it's following me anywhere I go. But yeah, that's pretty much that for the effects. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer any questions. The next video we're going to be talking about this event system. We're just going to keep working our way down all the way until we work our way to actually coding. So if you guys like these videos, if they're helpful, if you want to help me out, hit the like button. I'll really appreciate it. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button and hit the notification button if you want to see them as soon as they come out. Once again, thank you.